Howdy, what's up? Guys, today I'm going to show you how to use Zoom in jQuery without using any plugin. A very simple example. Okay, as always guys, I'm going to start off with a browser preview. So there are three images out here, and see what happens when I actually hover upon the different images. Right, and I need to just hover off to see it collapse back to its original size. You can also see a subtle fade in and a transition of the width and the height. Okay, maybe I could have done this with the CSS3, but there's a click handler too, which I can't do with the CSS3. You see, when I actually click, it goes back to the original size. See, if I hover, okay, and then if I click anywhere, it goes back to the original size. Anywhere, right? So that click handler is an added advantage, and that couldn't be done with CSS3 transitions. Moreover, CSS3 transitions may not work in some older browsers, so that's another advantage. And you're learning jQuery, that's the biggest advantage. There's a lot to learn out here. Okay, so let's see how this was actually done. Let's bring up the local site folder first. Nothing much out there. We have the latest jQuery library, minified compressed. You have the Zoom custom written JavaScript file. You have the HTML CSS file. It's called zoom.html. You have three pictures, cherry, orange, and strawberry.jpg, and they have the same size, share the same size, which is 800 width, 500 height. Very cool. Righto. So guys, let's start and let's code out. This is the zoom.js tied to the zoom.html file through the through line 16-17. 16 ties up with the latest jQuery minified compressed version, 17 ties up with zoom.js. Okay, so let's start with the zoom.html first. If you notice, the opening closing body tags are absolutely empty. The opening closing style tags are absolutely empty. Okay, rest everything is standard the way you have it with HTML5. So let's push in the first bit of code. There you go. A div with a class of rel. Okay, and inside we throw the three images: cherry JPG, orange JPG, strawberry JPG. But this time, through the width and the height attributes, we crunch the size to 200, 125 instead of 800, 500. Okay, so constraining the size using the width and the height attribute. Although the image is still the same, it's gonna show up a little smaller now, like a thumb. And the classes we have attached to these three images is cherry, orange, and strawberry out here. You can see. Okay, so just made some change to the image, just constraining it using the width and the height attribute. So if at this point I were to bring the browser up, let's see how does that actually show up. Okay, so three images tucked next to each other. That is the behavior, because they are by default inline elements. How many of you actually know images are actually inline elements and not block level elements? So they will be adjacent and not top bottom. So left right hierarchy, left right pattern. Okay, very cool. Let's get back to the document, throw in the next bit of code. Okay, here I've thrown in an H1 which says jQuery Zoom done without any plugin. Okay, so I don't need to see a preview right now. Let's throw in some more code. Some CSS, internal embedded CSS. So the relationship, if you remember, the div had a class of rel. We are defining it out here. I'm setting the position to a relative, because I'm going to set some children inside, which are going to be absolute. Width of 620, height of 125. I'm going to tell you where this width 620 is coming from. You have three pictures. You know, I've constrained them to 200 each. 200 into 3, 600. Plus I've kept some space between them. I'm soon going to do that. That space is going to occupy 20, so 620. Okay, height 125, which is matching the height of the thumbs. So if at this point I would save the document up and bring the browser up, and if I were to do a refresh, so you can see not much has actually changed. Okay, very cool. Let's throw in the next bit of code. Here I'm saying that orange, cherry, orange, strawberry should all share the position absolute. So within a relative wrapper, which is .rel class. Okay, let's save the document up and bring the browser up, and let's do a refresh. Since all of them have been made absolute, they tuck themselves in the left top corner, and they actually are under each other now. Okay, so it's a stack, it's a pile, and that's a very normal behavior. So people who understand actually position property shouldn't find it very surprising what's going on out here. Okay, very cool. Let's bring in the next chunk of code. Now this says left 0 for the cherry, left 210 for orange, and left 420 for the strawberry. So basically I want to separate them. I don't want to be superimposed. So let's save the document up and bring the browser up, and let's do a refresh. You can actually see they not only are separated, they have some padding, you know, between the first and second and the third picks. Okay, very cool. And the total width is 620. That's why the rel div was actually 620 in width. Awesome. Let's throw in the next bit of code, guys. Okay. Class over. Okay, so I'm actually adding a class over that I'm gonna be using only in the jQuery file. So it says z index 999 more than any other z index that controls the stack order, pile order. Will take everything to the top. Box shadow, some subtle box shadow, x displacement 0, y displacement 0, spread radius, a spread of 10 px, color black, cursor pointer gives you that nice hand when you hover. Okay, so I think as far as the HTML CSS is concerned, we're actually done. Let's bring the browser up, let's do a refresh, and not much has changed. Okay, now we need to get inside the zoom.js file. Let's throw in some code now. Alrighty, guys, I'm actually defining a variable mouse in. You know, variables can actually contain functions. So inside that variable mouse in, I'm declaring a function. I'm saying this refers to the three different pictures, as you will see very soon. This.css, opacity 0, add class over, animate height, animate width, and opacity 1. You know what's gonna happen? This function has been created for images mouse over. You'll soon see how and why. But for the moment, just assume that this function has been created and saved in a variable mouse in, and this is for mouse enter event. Okay, so when the images, all the three images, this refers to all the three images one by one, as they are hovered upon, the opacity should be dropped to 0, instant fade, and then we add the class over. If you remember, the class over was z index 999. So the the image that is hovered upon should be at the top of the pile, throwing some box shadow and a cursor pointer, basically giving you that hand on a hover. Okay, right, and also see that the width and the height have been increased or reset back to the original 500 800. Opacity going back to original 1. So the result will be when you mouse over an image, the opacity goes suddenly from 0 to 1. That's a fade in. The height increases back to the original. So from a height of 125 goes to 500. The width of 200 goes back to 800. So original size. Let's throw in some more bit of code. This is for the mouse out. Basically, the class that we had just introduced, we are removing. Remove class over. Animate height and width. See, I have not mentioned any time duration, in which case it defaults to the I think 400 milliseconds. Okay, so using the animate property, height and width going back to the original thumbnail size, 125 width. So when you mouse out, going back to the original size. And you may be wondering, mouse out, mouse in are actually variables. How will that actually affect the whole equation? It will make sense very soon. Let me add in some more code. Now this makes sense. I'm saying if the div with the ID relation rel with its children is hovered upon. Basically, if the children are actually hovered upon, the children of what? The children of division rel are actually hovered upon. Hover has a dual functionality. Once unit has two functions. One a function which triggers on a mouse over, the other actually triggers on a mouse out. So when you mouse in or mouse enters the area, the picture area, which is mouse in, if you remember, is actually a variable. That this variable is actually holding a function. Variables can hold functions. So when somebody hovers, run this function, and when he or she hovers away from the area, run the mouse out function. So mouse in comma mouse out, this is standard. This is how hovers actually work, right? So they have a dual functionality. Once when you actually the mouse actually enters, once when the mouse actually uh, leaves the area. Okay, so at this point, guys, let's save the document up and let's see the dual functionality. Okay, there you go. Mouse enters, mouse leaves, mouse enters, mouse leaves, mouse enters, mouse leaves, mouse enters, mouse leaves, mouse enters, mouse leaves. Okay, very cool. And let's throw in some more code. This time I'm actually targeting the children of the rel division, but this time the event handler is a click, not a hover, and just mouse out. Mouse out is this variable. This variable holds a function. It says remove the clause over, animate the width and the height, shrink the width and the height, basically. That's all. So simple. Okay, let's save the document up and bring the browser up, and let's do a refresh and let's click away. Let's click away. Click away. Okay, very cool. So a jQuery Zoom done without any plugin. You may call it a gallery. Suit your taste buds. Okay, so guys, I hope you found this information useful. Please do thumb the video up, guys. It takes us, or at least takes me, a lot of time coding it out for you. Once you see the result, it all may seem very simple, but it's very difficult to tell you how much of hard work, how many hours and how much energy we actually put in for you. Okay, so I must have spent around, anyways, I spent some good time period and some energy to actually accomplish this. So it'll be great if you can actually thumb the video up, and please do share the video through social networking websites. Guys, you have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.